Chapter 5. Advice from a Caterpillar. The caterpillar and Alice looked at each other for some time in silence. At last the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth, and addressed her in a languid, sleepy voice. "Degree who are underscore you, underscore plus or minus," said the caterpillar. This was not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied rather shyly, "Degree I hardly know, sir, just at present at least I know who I underscore was underscore when I got up this morning, but I think I must have been changed several times since then, plus or minus." "Degree what do you mean by that, plus or minus?" said the caterpillar sternly. "Degree explain yourself, plus or minus." "Degree I can explain underscore myself underscore, I am afraid, sir, plus or minus," said Alice. "Degree because I am not myself, you see. Plus or minus." "Degree I don't see, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. "Degree I am afraid I can put it more clearly, plus or minus," Alice replied very politely. "Degree for I can understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing. Plus or minus." "Degree at isn't, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. "Degree well, perhaps you haven't found it so yet, plus or minus," said Alice. "Degree but when you have to turn into a chrysalis you will some day, you know, and then after that into a butterfly, I should think you feel it a little queer, one plus or minus." "Degree not a bit, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. "Degree well, perhaps your feelings may be different, plus or minus," said Alice. "Degree all I know is, it would feel very queer to underscore me underscore plus or minus." "Degree you, plus or minus," said the caterpillar contemptuously. "Degree who are underscore you, underscore plus or minus." Which brought them back again to the beginning of the conversation. Alice felt a little irritated at the caterpillar's making such very short remarks, and she drew herself up and said, very gravely, "Degree I think you ought to tell me who underscore you underscore are, first. Plus or minus." "Degree why, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. Here was another puzzling question, and as Alice could not think of any good reason, and as the caterpillar seemed to be in a very unpleasant state of mind, she turned away. "Degree come back, plus or minus," the caterpillar called after her. "Degree I've something important to say, plus or minus." This sounded promising, certainly. Alice turned and came back again. "Degree keep your temper, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. "Degree is that all, plus or minus," said Alice, swallowing down her anger as well as she could. "Degree no, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. Alice thought she might as well wait, as she had nothing else to do. And perhaps after all it might tell her something worth hearing. For some minutes it puffed away without speaking, but at last it unfolded its arms, took the hookah out of its mouth again, and said, "Degree so you think you've re-changed, do you, plus or minus?" "Degree I am afraid I am, sir, plus or minus," said Alice. "Degree I can remember things as I used and I don't keep the same size for 10 minutes together, plus or minus." "Degree can remember underscore what underscore things, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. "Degree well, I've tried to say degree how doth the little busy bee, plus or minus, but it all came different, plus or minus," Alice replied in a very melancholy voice. "Degree repeat, degree underscore you are old, Father William underscore, plus or minus," said the caterpillar. Alice folded her hands, and began. "Degree you are old, Father William, plus or minus," the young man said. "Degree and your hair has become very white. And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think, at your age, it is right, plus or minus?" "Degree in my youth, plus or minus," Father William replied to his son. "Degree, I feared it might injure the brain. But, now that I am perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again. Plus or minus." "Degree you are old, plus or minus," said the youth. "Degree as I mentioned before. And have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason of that, plus or minus? Degree in my youth, plus or minus, said the sage, as he shook his grey locks. Degree, I kept all my limbs very supple. By the use of this ointment 1 shilling the box. Allow me to sell you a couple, plus or minus. Degree, you are old, plus or minus, said the youth. Degree, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose, with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it, plus or minus? Degree, in my youth, plus or minus, said his father. Degree, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife. And the muscular strength, which it gave to my jaw, has lasted the rest of my life. Plus or minus. Degree, you are old, plus or minus, said the youth. Degree, one would hardly suppose that your eye was as steady as ever. Yet you balanced an eel on the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever, plus or minus? Degree, I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough, plus or minus. Said his father. Degree, don't give yourself airs. Do you think I can listen all day to such stuff? Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs, plus or minus. Degree, that is not said right, plus or minus, said the caterpillar. Degree, not quite right, I am afraid, plus or minus, said Alice, timidly. Degree, some of the words have got altered. Plus or minus. Degree, it is wrong from beginning to end, plus or minus, said the caterpillar decidedly. And there was silence for some minutes. The caterpillar was the first to speak. Degree, what size do you want to be, plus or minus, it asked. Degree, oh, I am not particular as to size, plus or minus, Alice hastily replied. Degree, only 1 dozen, like changing so often, you know. Plus or minus. Degree, I don't know, plus or minus, said the caterpillar. Alice said nothing. She had never been so much contradicted in her life before, and she felt that she was losing her temper. Degree, are you content now, plus or minus, said the caterpillar. Degree, well, I should like to be little larger, sir, if you wouldn't mind, plus or minus, said Alice. Degree, 3 inches is such a wretched height to be. Plus or minus. Degree, it is a very good height indeed, plus or minus, said the caterpillar angrily, rearing itself upright as it spoke. It was exactly 3 inches high. Degree, but I am not used to it, plus or minus, pleaded poor Alice in a piteous tone. And she thought of herself. Degree, I wish the creatures wouldn't be so easily offended, plus or minus. Degree, you'll get used to it in time, plus or minus, said the caterpillar, and it put the hookah into its mouth and began smoking again. This time Alice waited patiently until it chose to speak again. In a minute or two the caterpillar took the hookah out of its mouth and yawned once or twice, and shook itself. Then it got down off the mushroom and crawled away in the grass, merely remarking as it went. Degree, one side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter. Plus or minus. Degree, one side of what, the other side of what, plus or minus, thought Alice to herself. Degree of the mushroom, plus or minus, said the caterpillar, just as if she had asked it aloud, and in another moment it was out of sight. Alice remained looking thoughtfully at the mushroom for a minute, trying to make out which were the 2 sides of it, and as it was perfectly round, she found this a very difficult question. However, at last she stretched her arms round it as far as they would go, and broke off a bit of the edge with each hand. Degree, and now which is which, plus or minus, she said to herself, and nibbled a little of the right hand bit to try the effect. The next moment she felt a violent blow underneath her chin. It had struck her foot. She was a good deal frightened by this very sudden change, but she felt that there was no time to be lost, as she was shrinking rapidly, so she set to work at once to eat some of the other bit. Her chin was pressed so closely against her foot that there was hardly room to open her mouth, but she did it at last, and managed to swallow a morsel of the left-hand bit. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Degree come, my head's free at last, plus or minus, said Alice in a tone of delight, which changed into alarm in another moment, when she found that her shoulders were nowhere to be found. All she could see, when she looked down, was an immense length of neck, which seemed to rise like a stalk out of a sea of green leaves that lay far below her. Degree what underscore can underscore all that green stuff be, plus or minus, said Alice. Degree and where underscore have underscore my shoulders got to? And oh, my poor hands, how is it I can see you, plus or minus? She was moving them about as she spoke, but no result seemed to follow, except a little shaking among the distant green leaves. As there seemed to be no chance of getting her hands up to her head, she tried to get her head down to them, and was delighted to find that her neck would bend about easily in any direction, like a serpent. She had just succeeded in curving it down into a graceful zigzag, and was going to dive in among the leaves, which she found to be nothing but the tops of the trees under which she had been wandering, when a sharp hiss made her draw back in a hurry. A large pigeon had flown into her face, and was beating her violently with its wings. Degree serpent, plus or minus, screamed the pigeon. Degree I am underscore not underscore a serpent, plus or minus, said Alice indignantly. Degree let me alone, plus or minus. Degree serpent, I say again, plus or minus, repeated the pigeon, but in a more subdued tone, and added with a kind of sob, Degree I've tried every way, and nothing seems to suit them, plus or minus. Degree I haven't the least idea what you re talking about, plus or minus, said Alice. Degree I've tried the roots of trees, and I've tried banks, and I've tried hedges, plus or minus, the pigeon went on, without attending to her. Degree but those serpents, there's no pleasing them, plus or minus. Alice was more and more puzzled, but she thought there was no use in saying anything more till the pigeon had finished. Degree as if it wasn't trouble enough hatching the eggs, plus or minus, said the pigeon. Degree, but I must be on the lookout for serpents night and day. Why, I haven't had a wink of sleep these 3 weeks, plus or minus. Degree, I am very sorry you've been annoyed, plus or minus, said Alice, who was beginning to see its meaning. Degree and just as I'd taken the highest tree in the wood, plus or minus, continued the pigeon, raising its voice to a shriek. Degree, and just as I was thinking I should be free of them at last, they must needs come wriggling down from the sky. Ugh, serpent, plus or minus. Degree but I am underscore not underscore a serpent, I tell you, plus or minus, said Alice. Degree I am a plus or minus. Degree well. Underscore what underscore are you, plus or minus, said the pigeon. Degree I can see you retrying to invent something, plus or minus. Degree I am a little girl, plus or minus, said Alice, rather doubtfully, as she remembered the number of changes she had gone through that day. Degree a likely story indeed, plus or minus, said the pigeon in a tone of the deepest contempt. Degree I've seen a good many little girls in my time, but never underscore one underscore with such a neck as that. No, no. You re a serpent, and there's no use denying it. I suppose you'll be telling me next that you never tasted an egg, plus or minus. Degree I underscore have underscore tasted eggs, certainly, plus or minus, said Alice, who was a very truthful child. Degree, but little girls eat eggs, quite as much as serpents do, you know, plus or minus. Degree I don't believe it, plus or minus, said the pigeon. Degree but if they do, why then they re a kind of serpent, that's all I can say. Plus or minus. This was such a new idea to Alice, that she was quite silent for a minute or two, which gave the pigeon the opportunity of adding, Degree you re Looking for eggs, I know underscore that underscore well enough, and what does it matter to me whether you re a little girl or a serpent, plus or minus? Degree it matters a good deal to underscore me underscore, plus or minus, said Alice hastily. Degree, but I am not looking for eggs, as it happens, and if I was, I shouldn't want underscore yours underscore, I don't like them raw. Plus or minus. Degree, well, be off, then, plus or minus, said the pigeon in a sulky tone, as it settled down again into its nest. Alice crouched down among the trees as well as she could, for her neck kept getting entangled among the branches. And every now and then she had to stop and untwist it. After a while, she remembered that she still held the pieces of mushroom in her hands. And she set to work very carefully, nibbling first at one and then at the other, and growing sometimes taller and sometimes shorter, until she had succeeded in bringing herself down to her usual height. It was so long since she had been anything near the right size, that it felt quite strange at first, but she got used to it in a few minutes, and began talking to herself, as usual. Degree, come, there's half my plan done now. How puzzling all these changes are. I am never sure what I am going to be, from one minute to another. However, I've got back to my right size. The next thing is to get into that beautiful garden. How underscore is underscore that to be done, I wonder, plus or minus. As she said this, she came suddenly upon an open place, with a little house in it about 4 feet high. Degree, whoever lives there, plus or minus, thought Alice. Degree, it'll never do to come upon them. Underscore this underscore size, why, I should frighten them out of their wits, plus or minus. So she began nibbling at the right-hand bit again, and did not venture to go near the house till she had brought herself down to 9 inches high.